Don Juan by Gordon Lord Byron. Canto 5, Part 6. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Peter Gallagher of petergallagher.com.au. Juan, the latest of her whims, had caught her eye in passing on his way to sale. She order'd him directly to be bought, and Baba, who had ne'er been known to fail in any kind of mischief to be wrought, at all such auctions knew how to prevail. She had no prudence, but he had, and this explains the garb which Juan took amiss. His youth and features favour'd the disguise, and should you ask how she, a sultan's bride, could risk or compass such strange fantasies, this I must leave sultanas to decide. Emperors are only husbands in wives' eyes, and kings and consorts oft are mystified, as we may ascertain with due precision, some by experience, others by tradition. But to the main point, where we have been tending, she now conceived all difficulties past, and deemed herself extremely condescending, when, being made her property at last, without more preface, in her blue eyes blending passion and power, a glance on him she cast, and merely saying, "Christian, canst thou love?" conceived that phrase was quite enough to move. And so it was in proper time and place. But Juan, who had still his mind o'erflowing with Hyde's isle and soft Ionian face, felt the warm blood which in his face was glowing rush back upon his heart, which fill'd apace, and left his cheeks as pale as snowdrops blowing. These words went through his soul like Arab spears, so that he spoke not, but burst into tears. She was a good deal shock'd, not shock'd at tears, for women shed and use them at their liking; but there is something, when a man's eyes appears wet, still more disagreeable and striking. A woman's tear drop melts, a man's half sears like molten lead, as if you thrust a pike in his heart to force it out, for, to be shorter, to them 'tis a relief, to us a torture. And she would have consoled, but knew not how. Having no equals, nothing which had e'er infected her with sympathy till now, and never having dreamt what 'twas to bear aught of a serious sorrowing kind, although there might arise some pouting petty care to cross her brow, she wonder'd how so near her eyes another's eye could shed a tear. But nature teaches more than power can spoil, and when a strong, although a strange sensation moves, female hearts are such a genial soil for kinder feelings, whatsoe'er their nation, they naturally pour the wine and oil. Samaritans in every situation, and thus Gulbeyaz, though she knew not why, felt an odd glistening moisture in her eye. But tears must stop, like all things else, and soon Juan, who for an instant had been moved to such a sorrow by the intrusive tone of one who dared to ask if he had loved, called back the stoic to his eyes, which shone bright with the very weakness he reproved, and although sensitive to beauty, he felt most indignant still at not being free. Gulbeyaz, for the first time in her days, was much embarrassed, never having met in all her life with aught save prayers and praise; and as she also risk'd her life to get him whom she meant to tutor in love's ways into a comfortable tete-a-tete, to lose the hour would make her quite a martyr, and they had wasted now almost a quarter. I also would suggest the fitting time to gentlemen in any such like case, that is to say, in a meridian clime. With us there is more law given to the chase, but here a small delay forms a great crime, so recollect that the extremest grace is just 2 minutes for your declaration. A moment more would hurt your reputation. Juan's was good, and might have been still better, But he had got Haidee into his head. However strange, he could not yet forget her, which made him seem exceedingly ill-bred. Gulbeyaz, who look'd on him as her debtor for having had him to her palace led, began to blush up to the eyes, and then grow deadly pale, and then blush back again. At length, in an imperial way, she laid her hand on his, and bending on him eyes which needed not an empire to persuade, look'd into his for love, where none replies. Part VI.